Hello and a very warm welcome to this special. Today we are going to be talking about India's 1000th ODI. Now, what has that journey been like for the Indian cricket team? What have they achieved on their way to playing the 1000th ODI that India will be playing against the West Indies at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad? So it's kind of a walk down the memory lane here with Nikhil Narayan, and we love doing these shows because you get to relive some of the greatest moments of Indian cricket, and this time in One Day International. So let's begin then straight away with India's start of this journey, and that start was in 1974 in Leeds, right, Nikhil? I mean, the first match that India played, now that tour didn't turn out the way they would have wanted, given that this was the first match. And in fact, the whole series for them didn't go well. But that was the start. That's where everything began for India in terms of ODIs.
Absolutely, Maya. Yeah. And they gave a good account of themselves in their first limited overs match. Ajit Wadekar led the team against England at Leeds in Headingley. He scored a brisk 60 odd, but the highest impact knock of that tournament came from that match came from Brijesh Patel, who scored 82 of 78 deliveries.
That's right.
Eknath Solkar was a part of that match. There was Sunil Gavaskar. So England had David Bumble Lloyd. There was Tony Greig. Mike Dennis was the captain. India gave a fight, but ultimately they went down by 4 wickets.
That's right, and it's ironic because you always want the start to be good. But even if it isn't, we know that India went on to conquer many frontiers after that, even after losing that ODI series, and in fact that test series in England. But there was one man there who played that ODI series, and here he is wishing the Indian team ahead of the 1000th ODI. This is Madan Lal, former Indian cricketer. Listen in to what he has to say.
Definitely, I think time flies. बड़ा अरसा हो चुका हुआ है और अब तो रिकलेक्ट करना भी थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, पर डेफिनेटली कि उन दिनों में इतना ज़्यादा वनडे क्रिकेट नहीं होता था. वी जस्ट स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग वनडे क्रिकेट, सो वी डिडंट हैड दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी स्ट्रगल्ड इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द 50 ओवर ODIs. तो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग एट होम, डोमेस्टिक टूर्नामेंट्स एंड एवरीथिंग, देन वी got some experience.
Well, Madan Lal didn't talk about how he played that role in the first win, and in fact he got 3 wickets for 15 runs, and that was India's first ODI victory. And why that is important, Nikhil, is that was the first time India won in ODIs, and it took them a whole year to get to this win because of the first being played in 94, and in 95 finally India won. Madan Lal playing a crucial role, Farooq Engineer with a 54, and that was in Leeds.
Absolutely. India's first win in an ODI, the second match of the 1975 World Cup, after being thrashed by England by 200 odd runs in the first match. They came back brilliantly to defeat East Africa. They routed East Africa for 120. Madan Lal picked up 3 wickets. Saeed Abid Ali picked a couple of wickets. Gavaskar and Engineer then took India under 30 overs, chased down the target. India had one win, which remained their one win in the World Cup for 2 more World Cups till we reached 1983.
That's right, and that's why this particular win that India got, to topple the mighty West Indies. Not many people know about this, Nikhil, and that is right before the World Cup, before the 1983 World Cup, where India scripted history. India had beaten West Indies in the ODIs on 29th of March in 1983, and somewhere, a lot of people may not believe it, but somewhere this must have given them the belief, with Gavaskar scoring a 90 there, Kapil Dev a 72 and 2 for 33, an all-round performance. Somewhere that would have given them belief, because this happened 2 months before the 83 World Cup.
Absolutely. And this was an amazing performance by India, their first win against the West Indies, against a West Indies side comprising of Viv Richards, Clive Lloyd, Greenidge, Haynes, Holding, Roberts, Malcolm, Marshall.
That's right.
So a full strength team. And look at what Kapil Dev did, 72 of 38 from number 4. He was the captain in this match also. So this win did play a part. It gave them the confidence that this great West Indies team can be beaten. They were beaten in their own backyard, in this place called Albion in the Caribbean. So this win had an impact on what was to follow in the next few months.
That's right. And then what followed in the next few months completely changed the whole cricketing landscape of India. Suddenly, everybody took to cricket. Suddenly, everybody was calling their sons Kapil as and Sunny. After the great Kapil Dev and Sunny Gavaskar. But let's begin then that, and we'll take all four of them because we have some way to go before we get to all the other milestones. But that whole campaign for 1983, I think one of the things that people have talked about even in the past has been how nobody gave them a chance and how they began by winning the opener against the West Indies. And I think that sort of gave them the belief, and from there on it was a performance that was absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. It is the greatest underdog story ever in Indian sport history. Forget cricket. It's one of the greatest stories in sport anywhere, in any era in history. India winning the 1983 World Cup. It started from that win in Manchester. Yashpal Sharma, a very underrated middle order batsman, was the star. He scored this 89 and took India to a 34-run win. That gave India the belief this West Indies team can definitely be beaten. It was West Indies' first loss in a World Cup match in 3 editions. Imagine, first loss in a World Cup match in 3 editions. And then from there, India, what Kapil Dev did against Zimbabwe at Tunbridge Wells, 175 from 17 for 5, the highest ODI score then. They defeated England in the semi-finals. England were favourites, hosts. And then, the 1983 World Cup final, the catch Kapil Dev took to get Richards, Chris Shrikant top scored, Mohinder Amarnath's all-round performance, Balwinder Sindhu's dismissal, which started the West Indies collapse. That changed not only Indian sport, that changed India forever. It gave a new belief, a new foundation, a new outlook to India. India was on the world map after that win.
Also, I think what it did was that it opened up everybody to the idea of ODI cricket. Because before that, it was in your whites, you're playing test cricket. But suddenly, after that World Cup triumph, people started playing. There were more people who wanted to be like Kapil Dev and Sunny Gavaskar. And that's where I think Sachin and the others came in and followed their idols in wanting to be great cricketers. But then we move on, and why I think the next milestone is far more important. 83, no doubt, but between that, why I've not taken the other names, and we're going straight to the World Championship, the Benson Hedges World Championship in 1985, because till 1983, even after that win, Nikhil, a lot of people said flash in the pan.
Absolutely.
Especially the Western world, right? They said, you know what, you did it once, you can't do it again.
Absolutely.
And then they come in and win yet again in Australia, beating Pakistan in the finals. And that's where then you had the Risti Mohammad Azruddin to look up to, Ravi Shastri, Lakshman Sivaramakrishnan, and the others.
Absolutely. Ravi Shastri was the player of the series for a stupendous all-round performance. We all remember that image, him sitting on the car, taking a round of the MCG, beating Pakistan in this historic final. It was a big mega tournament. I think 7 countries participated. It was a big tournament then. Shrikant, interesting, not many people know this. Shrikant top scored in the 1983 final. Shrikant also top scored in this match. So that is a very sort of, a unique feat which Chris Shrikant achieved for India. But a big win, Benson and Hedges World Series, 83 and 85. Another player who played a big impact role in both these tournaments was Madan Lal. 83, he gave a fine performance, one of India's best all-rounders, and 85 also he gave a fantastic performance. That's his legacy to ODI cricket for India.
Okay, and then we move on. There was India beating West Indies in the Hero Cup final in 1993 at the Eden Gardens. But the one where we saw what India beating Pakistan meant, and that was the 1996 World Cup. Nikhil, isn't that so?
Absolutely.
For India, Ajay Jadeja was the hero. Suddenly you saw that it was different when you beat Pakistan.
Absolutely. I remember that match. I was very young, I was 13. I was watching it live. Ajay Jadeja, the way he hit Waqar Younis for the sixes. Waqar Younis was a Yorker specialist, one of the greatest fast bowlers of all time. He clipped the Yorkers down square leg for sixes. What a great performance by Jadeja, one of the best finishers in the late 1990s. India again beat Pakistan in a World Cup match and, moved on to the semi-finals.
That's right. Okay. Then we move on to India winning the Titan Cup in 96 in Mumbai. They beat South Africa by 35 runs. Anil Kumble there with an exceptional bowling performance, 4 for 25. Sachin Tendulkar, as we'll see in the coming other milestones as well, where he's played such a crucial role in those wins. But yes, Sachin Tendulkar scoring 67. And as we talk about Sachin Tendulkar, in fact, let's listen into what Sachin had to say to the Indian team ahead of their 1000th ODI.
Indian cricket team will be playing its 1000th ODI match on Sunday. It's a fantastic achievement, and I'd like to congratulate all the past, present Indian cricketers, the BCCI, and all the supporters who've stood by us throughout these 47 years of playing ODIs and continue to do so. India has many wonderful memories over the years. It starts for me, it starts from 1983 World Cup, 2003 World Cup that I was part of in South Africa, fabulous, and 2011 World Cup, which we played in India. You too have memories, and one can go on and on, just keep going back and forth, and there's so many interesting matches being played. But this is a wonderful occasion for all of us. I wish Indian cricket team the very best of luck for the series against the West Indies. May Indian cricket continue to go from strength to strength. All the very best, guys.
Ideal for someone like Sachin Tendulkar to give this because of what Sachin Tendulkar has done for Indian cricket and how often has he carried that burden of a billion hopes on his shoulders. And that brings me then to the next milestone, Nikhil, and that I think all of us growing up in the 90s would remember, and that's the Desert Storm. The one that we are talking about is not the one where Sachin scored 100 and then you remember how the match was stopped because of a Desert Storm, but this is the one in Sharjah in the final then. India beating Australia by 6 wickets, and it was in a way very dramatic in the way Sachin went out as a lone warrior trying to win the game. Of course, it wasn't to be. He got out in the first game, but he came back again and won.
I mean, in the 1990s, it was Sachin Tendulkar. Especially between 96 and 99, it was only Tendulkar for India. I remember Tendulkar out, TV switched off.
Yeah.
These two innings, these back-to-back hundreds defined Sachin Tendulkar, the great ODI batsman for India, which he was in the 1990s. First, on 22nd April, that brilliant 100, which took India qualified for the final because they had to chase down the target within a stipulated number of overs. And then 2 days after, on his birthday, a brilliant 134, India gunned down Australia's total, and 2 back-to-back centuries. The way he smashed the Australian bowlers, a world-class Australian team, one of the best of all time, one of the greatest, knocks in limited overs history.
That's right. But what happened next was India conquered the Mecca of cricket, and that is 2002 in Lords. And I think all of us will remember that for Sourav Ganguly taking off his shirt and waving it around after India won the NatWest final, and an absolutely unbelievable 121-run partnership between Yuvraj and KF, two youngsters, 20 and 21-year-olds. At a time when Dravid is out, Sachin's out, Dinesh Mongia is gone, 146 for 5. India had to chase down, 304 or something to win.
Yeah, absolutely. India gunned down 325 behind, in fact.
325,
Yeah, 325. And, that was the beginning of, Ganguly's legacy. He was building this team which had an attitude, the Yuvraj Singhs, the Mohammad Kaifs, the Sehwags, and they started to win abroad. They started to, pull off the, absolutely impossible overseas. And this was the beginning of Ganguly's legacy, India, having some attitude overseas.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to then India winning their first series, ODI series down under. And how big was that, Nikhil, to even think of going down under to Australia and winning a series? India hadn't been able to do it in the past, and then came Dhoni's boys changing that around in 2008. And to think that India has now managed to do it so often after that. But really, it started with 2008 in the CB series. Sachin Tendulkar once again playing an important role in that.
Yeah, he scored a century in the Sydney first final, then again a 91 in Brisbane, where Praveen Kumar took 4 wickets. Best of 3, India won 2-0. Historic win for India.
Yeah. Okay. We come back to the World Cup 2011. And 2011 World Cup is what, for a lot of people who weren't part of that or who hadn't been even born in 1983, this is what cricket meant in terms of, winning the World Cup. And we'll begin with the 2011 semi-final in Mohali against Pakistan. And as we knew, Nikhil, because I was covering it for another channel, but I remember a lot of Pakistanis coming from across the border. At that time, the tensions weren't like they are today. And, the kind of bonhomie you saw with people from across the border wanting to come and support their team. India, once again, keeping that record intact of beating Pakistan in a World Cup.
Absolutely. It was an unbelievable occasion. In fact, I had gone for all the India matches in the World Cup. I had taken off wherever I was working. I had completely lost the plot for the 2 months. I remember that match. Everyone was there, from Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Amir Khan. It was just unbelievable what was happening in Mohali then. India were actually in trouble, but then Yuvraj Singh picked up those wickets and Pakistan collapsed from 100 for 2 couple of wickets, and then the rest of the match was India. Tendulkar again, not his best innings. He got a few chances, reprieves, but he was India's top scorer. And I think Misbah ul Haq, left it too late for Pakistan. But another World Cup win for India, taking them to the grand finals April 2nd.
Okay, and then we talk about April 2nd. You've cued me to that one. Things changed again. Once again, India, after so many years, after 1983, were the world champions. And all of us remember that 6 by Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the winning 6 that took India to a World Cup win. But how important was that for India, happening in India? We know the kind of passion Indians have. To be able to do that in your own country, incredible.
Absolutely. Home pressure, to do expectations and to rise to the occasion. India were 30 for 2, Tendulkar Sehwag out. I was crying in the stadium. And then when Gambhir and Dhoni Gambhir and Kohli first rebuilt the innings, the young Kohli, and then when he got out, Dhoni promoted himself to counter Muralidharan. And then he just took the game away from Sri Lanka. And when he hit a 6, I remember I tore my T-shirt. I was going shouting. I was going nuts. I don't know what I said to some Sri Lankans. I think I invoked Ravan also at some point. I was completely losing the plot. But just unbelievable. And the scenes that followed on Marine Drive after that, I think I was dancing all night. People were dancing all over in Delhi, India Gate, Calcutta, everywhere. Yeah. One of the greatest moments again in India's sporting history.
And I just feel like this was a culmination of what was started by India in 1983, the Kapil's team. And I just feel like a lot of it was what they had achieved that gave them the belief. Yes, it took a lot of years, but what we've seen Kapil Dev do, and I just want to go back to it, Nikhil, because I feel like the seeds were sown by Kapil.
Yeah.
Really. Kapil and his team for India's different milestones that they ended up conquering. And in fact, that record, that 175, and it's unfortunate that nobody has seen
captured
it.
BBC
BBC was on strike, but that 175, how many young people in this country would have wondered how Kapil played and gone on to emulate him?
And the best they could see is Ranveer Singh in the movie. But that was a great knock. A great 17 for 5, Meha. 175 was the highest ODI score of the time. It remained the highest ODI score for a long time. I think till Saeed Anwar broke it against India. But a great knock, changed everything for India in the World Cup. Yashpal Sharma then came, produced 2 more high impact performances. Madan Lal, Roger Binney was inspired. He was the leading wicket taker. Sandeep Patil, 51 of 32 balls in the semi-finals. Amarnath, 2 all-round performances in the semis and the final. Everything changed.
That's right. Okay, and as we keep continuing talking about this, let's talk about some of the personal milestones that Indian players have achieved. Rohit Sharma getting to the highest score, ODI score of 264. And to think that Sachin Tendulkar was the one who got to the first double hundred in ODIs. And only apt given how well Sachin batted throughout his career in this format. But then Rohit Sharma to get it, incredible. It almost seemed like the format had been completely adopted by Indians.
Absolutely. And Rohit Sharma, I don't know what is with him. He has 3 double centuries in ODI cricket. What a player. This was a fantastic knock by Rohit. Tendulkar had scored a double hundred, the first one, Virendra Sehwag, and then Rohit Sharma 3 double hundreds. This being his highest knock, 264. I don't think this will be, ever broken. 264 takes some beating.
India will be playing the 1000th ODI. So we've come to now the present, and in a way, it's what do I say? It's poetic, because India's journey to transforming and becoming ODI champions started with India beating West Indies, and as they take on West Indies in the 1000th ODI, you'd think that this journey has come a long way. Of course, it'll continue to, but absolutely brilliant. And what are you expecting from this series, Nikhil?
I mean, unfortunately, the West Indies team of the 80s and 90s, I mean, this team has gone down drastically since 2000. So I'm expecting a sweep for India actually in this series, although they're resting a lot of players. West Indies is the weakest in the ODI format. I'm expecting a challenge in the T20Is, but not in the ODIs.
That's right. So there we have it. What did you think of this? I think Nikhil and I have enjoyed bringing these milestones to you. This is, in a nutshell, India's long journey in ODI cricket, which we said is it began in 1974 in Leeds, and now 1000th ODI that will be played in Ahmedabad, with India taking on West Indies in a 3-match ODI series. Nikhil Narayan, thank you so much for joining us. That's it on this special. Do keep coming back to us for all the latest from the world of cricket and sports right here on News 9 Digital. For now, goodbye.